I'm late. I'm running to the bathroom. I'm not caring if I'm waking up the kids because I've got to get out of the house. I go through that day, and situation after situation after situation just is chaotic. Halfway through that, well, I'd say probably mid-afternoon, I realized that I hadn't talked to God yet.
Amen.
And the Lord so gently spoke to me and said, the day you don't seek me like you're desperate for me is the day you will be. So I've learned from that, Daryl, that when I get up, I had one day this week, I've not been feeling good. I took some Alka-Seltzer Plus nighttime. You guys know me, so you'll find this a little bit comical, and then I'll go into the message. Tell you what, I'll make a deal. Sit down for just a minute. I'll have you stand for the reading. I'm going to be gracious here for a moment. My wife goes and buys Alka-Seltzer Plus nighttime. Says, you got to work in the morning. I'm not going to give you a full dose. She just gave me about 75%. I woke up the next morning. I was like, yes. I felt better. I said, you know what? I didn't have, and you guys will understand this with nighttime medicine. I call it the hangover effect, where you're still sleepy. I didn't have it because I only took 75%. So I took 75% the next night, went to bed. Then the next night, the third night, I said, you know what? This is working so good, let me take a full dose. My alarm went off at 5:50. When I woke up at 6:20, my feet hit the floor in a panic. But because of that situation, as I'm going down the hall at a rapid rate of speed, I'm like, Lord, you've still got today, and I still love you, and you're in charge. What am I trying to say? We need God. Someone said to me the other day, said, oh, you're a Christian, so you use God as a crutch. And I said, you bet.
That's right, man.
They're like, what do you mean by that? I said, God holds me up every day. You got nothing to lean on. I've had people, Daryl, tell me, well, you're a holy roller, you're Pentecostal. And then I tell them what my dad taught me. When they call you a holy roller, you tell them at least you're rolling the right way. I praise God for the opportunity to be what He's called me to be and to serve Him and to follow Him. And no matter what happens, realize I got a Heavenly Father that loves me. No matter what situation. Again, I got to say this. It's well. You have your Bibles. Turn to the book of Genesis chapter 37. We are still in favor, which let me say this real quick. Rick, I heard you did a wonderful job last Sunday. Thank you. Can we give him a hand for helping? Praise God. I appreciate it. And actually, it was on Facebook Live. Saw not all of it, a portion of it. You did a good job. Had kids around, and so there was distractions. Rick rode with us last night in our car to Greensboro, and I preached. And so I can't even remember how it came about, but we said something like, yeah, because our kids were doing something, and I said, yeah, you got a kid? Rick goes, yeah, one. He said it with eyes this big. But praise God. Genesis 37, I'm going to be reading a lengthy passage of Scripture. So I'm going to ask you to stand, and you might say, dear Lord, it's lengthy. Yeah, it is, but here's the deal. You get to sit while I preach. I'm going to read verses 1 through 11, and then I'm going to jump down to verse 19 and read to verse 28. I'm laying the foundation. I'm still preaching on favor. But we've gone from Ruth, we're going to Joseph, and this part, the next 4 sermons, would be entitled Favor, Dream On, Sermon 1, 2, 3, and 4. Favor, Dream On. It says in Jacob, verse 1, dwelled in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. He's tattling. Now Israel, who's Israel? Jacob. That's the name that God changed him from. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream. And he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright, and behold, your sheep stood round about, and made obeisance, or bowed, and made obeisance, I lost my place, to me. Verse 8. Made obeisance to my sheep. Thank you. And his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams. You see, there's a pattern here. They already hated him because his father showed favor. Now he's telling them the dream, and they hate him even more. Now verse 9, and he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, I have dreamed a dream more, another dream. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance, bow down to me. Verse 10, and he told it to his father and his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brothers indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brothers envied him, but his father observed the saying. Verse 19. Chadwick, since he's doing my verses, could you give me some more monitor? I thank you so much, brother. You keep doing what you do, Mark. I appreciate you doing wonderful. Verse 19. And they said one to another, behold, the dreamer cometh. By the way, that is not a compliment. Anybody ever heard of the phrase satire, or what's the phrase we like to use? They were being sarcastic. Wise mouths. Behold, the dreamer cometh. Here he comes. Dad's favorite. Come now, therefore, and let us kill him. What? Let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say some evil beast has devoured him, and we shall see what will come of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. Thank God for Reuben. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands. In other words, Reuben, even though he don't like him, he don't want to kill him. But he said that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. And it came to pass when Joseph was come unto the brethren, that they stripped Joseph of his coat of many colors that was on him, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it, and they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilgal with their camels, bearing spices and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah praised, said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were content. Verse 28. Then they passed by the Midianite merchantmen, and drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph unto Egypt. Verse 29. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. Something happened in the process here. When Reuben had him thrown in the pit, Reuben then goes to tell his dad to come rescue him. When Reuben goes to the pit to see if he's there, his brothers have already sold him into slavery. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, God, I thank you for what you're doing and what you're going to continue to do today. God, I thank you for your love and your mercy. God, I thank you for your grace that is sufficient. God, I come before you right now and just honor you. God, I ask you that you would move in this service. You've given me a word about favor. God, you've given me a word for us. And I pray right now in the mighty name of Jesus, God, that you will move in a miraculous way. Touch through me. Use me as you see fit, God. Anoint me, God, so that this message becomes clear and evident that if we are the children of God, we walk in favor. We walk in the glory of God, and we walk with the blessing of God. And we honor you and we thank you. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. Praise God. When we read the story of Joseph, go to that next slide. When we read the story of Joseph, there are some things that cannot be denied, because the scriptures make it clear. Joseph was chosen by God. Amen. Joseph was anointed by God. Joseph had a destiny that was given to him by God. Joseph was favored by God. Joseph was also favored by his earthly father, Jacob, or Israel. God was with Joseph. Go back to Ruth. Ruth was chosen by God, even though she was not an Israelite. The same things that apply to Joseph apply to Ruth.
And can I say something? The same things that apply to Joseph and to Ruth, put your name there. The difference on whether these things come into play in your life is not if things get chaotic or whether they're peaceful. It's whether you're obedient to God. God has favor on every human being in the world. You're saved by faith. But faith that has no work is... So when you put work or legs to your faith, you then walk in favor. Because you're carrying out the reason God called you out of darkness into salvation, into light. If you look at these things, chosen by God, anointed by God, destined by God, favored by his family, his father, not his brothers, God was with Joseph. That sounds like a winning combination. I just did Ric Flair. Sounds like a winning combination. If you judge from that criteria, it would look like Joseph had it made. Tell the truth. He's got God's favor. He's got God's anointing. He's got God's destiny. He's chosen by God. He's got his father's favor. He was chosen by... All that you would say, whoa, what a winning combination. But when we read the Bible, we found out that this same Joseph, who had everything going for him, who was anointed by God, who was favored by his earthly father, and had so many great advantages, one day found himself in the pits. I'm destined by God. What am I doing down here? This is going to come out a little bit later, but I just feel the Lord telling me to say it. The pit is part of the process.
Amen. Yes.
God, well, I said that and I just felt the Holy Spirit.
Bless him.
The pit. I'm not going to go into that part of the sermon yet. I'll get there. Huh? No, I got to build some stuff first. Joseph, even in the pit, did not let go of his dream. Joseph dared to dream. Genesis 37:6. And he said unto them, here I pray you this dream which I have dreamed. He's telling this dream singularly to his 11 brothers. I've had a dream. I've had a dream. He tells them in detail the dream. And then it says in verse 37, chapter 9, that he has another dream. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it to his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And this one, if you read a little further in that same verse, he also tells his mother and father, I've had another dream. You guys are going to understand this. If you've ever had a dream given to you from God, how many of you have ever had a dream and you wake up in the morning and you remember parts of it, but then you have a dream and you wake up and it's like you remember every little detail. I have had 3 dreams, 2 of which that I know were given from God. I've had another one that was a nightmare that I know it was because Satan was, not Satan, one of his imps was in my house. So much so that without going into detail, in the middle of this dream, my wife had to roll over on top of me and hold my arms because I was yelling, get out of my house in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you, devil. And punching her in my sleep. Because in my dream, I was in a fight. But that was literally 2 months ago. Well, why you say? I know, just like Joseph here, when God has given... There's been 2 instances in my life where God has given me specific dreams that when I looked at them, I knew what they meant, but yet they didn't work. Looking back, I saw how that God, through the dream, ordered my steps and things came into play. But there was things in the dreams that were symbolic of what actually happened in reality. Dreaming, catch this, is dangerous work. Say that. Dreaming is dangerous. Why? You see, the dreaming is dangerous because you see from Joseph's life that dreaming can get you into a lot of trouble. If you're going to dream, there are some things that you have got to have in your life. You've got to have an imagination. You've got to have courage. Catch this, folks. I know this is kind of teaching right now, but I'm going to start preaching here in a minute. But I've got to lay the foundation down because here's what you've got to understand. If you are in God's favor, you have got to dream. So you've got to have imagination. You've got to have courage. You've got to have commitment. You've got to have patience. Because God will give you a dream, but then throw you in a pit, then take you to be a slave, then go from being a slave to going to prison. But you're still thinking, God, you gave me a dream that was 14 years ago. Come on. Joseph went on the word of 2 dreams for a minimum of 14 years and only heard from God in those dreams twice. We can't go 14 days. You've got to have patience. You've got to have endurance, and you must have. Why? Because I'll tell you the number one reason why people don't like dreamers. Martin Luther King. I have a dream. How many remember the speech? That one day, you guys know it, but I don't want to misquote it, so I'm not going to. That one day, this black child and white child, they can play together. He was putting a dream on. It was, if I remember right, it was on the National Mall in Washington. He's saying this dream, and people look it back now and they go, "Wow, what a great speech! That was awesome." Do you realize that the day before Martin Luther King was killed, he was one of the most, if not the most hated man in the United States of America? Why? Because he had a dream and he was upsetting the apple cart and people did not like it. Even though he was right with what he was doing, people did not like what was right because it changed what they were comfortable with.
Amen.
People don't like dreamers because dreamers produce change. All the people that ever affected change in history were first dreamers. One of the greatest leaders of a country. He created new highways. So much so that every highway system in the world is patterned after the highway system that this gentleman started. He's one of the most brilliant minds when it came to industry and bringing a country out of devastation in the fastest amount of time that it has ever happened back to prominence. And we don't like to talk positive about this guy because his name is Adolf Hitler.
Wow.
Adolf Hitler was a great leader, but he was an evil leader.
Yes.
He was... When we lived in Germany, my mother made friends with a German lady who was in her 80s at the time. I believe has since passed away because this was in the early 1980s, 1980, 81, 82. This lady was 40 years earlier. She was in her 80s, so she was in her 40s during the World War II, during her late 30s, early 40s. And my mother asked her, this lady was a very, very good Christian lady. She asked her, she said, "Did you follow Adolf Hitler?" She said, "Yes." And my mother asked her why. She said, "You don't understand. We didn't see the concentration camps. We didn't see all that stuff that was going on. We saw roads and industry and all this stuff being built after we had just got destroyed in World War I. And everything being built back up. So we willingly jumped in and followed." He was a great leader that deceived people. Where are you going? What I'm trying to tell you is that every great leader in history, whether good or bad, first had a dream that became a vision and they carried it out. All the people that are honored in this book. Noah wants you to build an ark. That's not a dream. He was awake. No. When you're working on something for 120 years, you dreaming. Noah, Abraham, I want you to get up out of the land of Ur of the Chaldeans, and I want you to go to the place that I'm calling you to go to. Go to that place. Moses, Joseph, Ruth, as we've been studying, David, King David, all these different people, you will find out that they had a dream, that God had a dream for them, and they followed. John the Baptist was a dreamer. How can you say that? Because he stood with a camel's outfit on, he ate locusts and honey. How many would like to eat a grasshopper? Okay, you're from Louisiana and Chappie is crazy. It does not appeal to me. I bet you it's crunchy though. But he was eating locusts and honey and what? Guess what? Jesus was a dreamer. The Bible does not say that Jesus... Can I tell you what a dreamer is? A dreamer is somebody that dares to think outside of the box of what everybody is already doing in order to produce change. Dream, vision. The difference between a dream and a vision is very simple. It's not whether you're awake or asleep. It's whether you take that dream and make it come to pass. Jesus had a dream, and God gave him the dream that you're going to die on the cross. It was established before the foundation of the earth. The ultimate dreamer has always been God Almighty. God looked down and said, you know what? I've cast the devil and his angels down to earth. But you know what? The angels worship me because they're forced to worship me because they're in my presence. So you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to create mankind. Because I want somebody. So he had a dream that somebody would give him glory at all times. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And every dreamer that has ever lived in the kingdom of God embraced God's dream. And because they embraced God's dream, they therefore received God's favor. And I don't know about you. I want to say that I'm a dreamer just for one reason. Because I want God's favor on my life. And because of that, I will dare to dream. Genesis 37 verses 1 and 2. Joseph's brothers did not like his favor. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, he's a 17-year-old teenage boy, was feeding the flock with his brother, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, which were his brother, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. That's where the conflict started. The 17-year-old goody-goody decided that he was going to become a tattletale. They're doing wrong! So he went back and told on him. Verse 2 is where the bad blood starts. What was their evil? The Bible does not clearly say what they had done wrong. But studying this out, there is the belief that Joseph, being the youngest brother, was made to serve the brothers by force. In other words, him being the younger brother, they being full-grown men, they didn't like him because of the favor. So rather than them doing what they were supposed to do, they made him do it. And he went back and told them. That is the belief. We don't know that to be true, but that is what a lot of people have speculated to be the truth. Based upon anybody that is an older brother that has younger brothers, I have an older brother, that is what they do to you.
Yeah.
True?
You an older sister?
See, what I'm noticing here, I can tell which ones of you are the older and which ones are the younger, because the oldest are going, the youngest are going, uh-huh. I was the younger. Daryl, you were as well. Are you the oldest? No. Middle. Oh, that explains a lot about Daryl. Praise God. But Joseph was the youngest, but he was the oldest of Rachel's. Understand, Jacob had several wives. Rachel had 2 sons, but at this time she only had one, which was Joseph. He was the oldest of Rachel was the oldest of Rachel's. Genesis 37 verse 3 says, now Israel, Jacob, loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. This coat was telling the other 11 brothers before him that he was the child that would receive the birthright that was handed down to him from Abraham to Isaac. If you go back to the story of Leah and Rachel, who were sisters, Jacob married Leah, slept with her that night, didn't even know who he was in bed with. But he had already worked for Laban for 7 years. For 7 years when he said that I like Rachel. Laban said, work for me for another 7 years and I'll give you Rachel. They have the wedding ceremony. So now it's been 14 years. They have the wedding ceremony. He goes in, ends up being married to Leah, doesn't know until the next morning. And he comes out and he's mad. And so he goes to Laban and he said, I wanted to marry Rachel. Laban says, that's not customary. You've got to marry the oldest first. But if you want Rachel, you can work for me for another 7 years. This must be love. Because he worked for another 7 years. For 21 years he worked for Laban. So now Rachel, because of, if you read the Bible says this, because of the way that Jacob showed favoritism to Rachel, God closed up her womb and opened up Leah's. And he obviously married Bilhah and Zilpah, 2 other women, in the process there, and they all had children. What are you trying to say with this? Because of Jacob showing favor to Rachel, he showed favor to Joseph. And here's what I want to say. Every parent in here, if you have more than one child, and this is not easy at times, you cannot afford to play favorites.
Yes, it's right.
You can't. I have 5 children, and I'm just going to be very, very transparent. Can I tell you the easiest one for me to get along with? And it's not the one you're thinking. Say a name. No. Easiest one for me to get along with is Avery. Valerie is the... See, I'm almost scared to say it because I don't want it to hurt you. She does the cutest things, and she's the easiest to just go with. Valerie's the one that'll steal your heart quicker than the other ones. But then Elise might not steal your heart, but she'll clean your whole house. Every woman in here says, "Send her over!" I was washing dishes just a couple weeks ago, helping out in the house because our dishwasher, the parsonage dishwasher, broke. And we can't get it figured out. So rather than put the burden on the church, I decided I was going to help wash dishes. But I got smart. I said, "Elise, come here. You dry. Or you rinse." Well, before I got done, she said, "Is that how you do it?" "Okay, I got it, Daddy." I went watch TV. She watched dishes. Well, what are you trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that each child has their own personality. Each child has their own things that they're good at and that they're bad at. And you as a parent, you have got to love them equally, but you've also got to meet them on their personality level.
That's right. Amen.
I put it down here. You got to treat them according to their personalities, but if you do something for one, you've got to do something for all of them. But this one might not want the same one. Let me give you an example. At Christmas, when we buy Christmas gifts, we budget that this is how much we are spending on each kid. The gift for Avery might be one gift that totals, say, $50, where Valerie and Gavin might get 3 or 4 gifts that total $50. They look like they got more, but it was the same amount of money spent on each child. We're fair. That keeps the peace. Why are you preaching on that? Preacher, why are you talking about it? Because you want peace in your home.
Amen.
Jeremy, you got 3 boys. There's never peace in the home. One's older, 2 are younger. I understand that. The 2 younger, I'm sure that if you did one for one and not for the other, you're going to have a war. Let me move on. Genesis 37, verses 6 through 11. It says, "And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheep arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheep stood round about, and made obeisance, or bowed down to my sheep. And his brethren said unto him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars have made obeisance, bowed down to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brother indeed come and bow down ourselves to you into the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same." Verse 11 says something that caught my eye. "And his brothers envied." You know the word for envy is jealousy? Because they surely thought that his father would not just rebuke him, but would put him in his place. His father's rebuke was, "Are you saying that me and your mother and your brothers are going to bow down?" Didn't say that. That's all it said. That was the rebuke. And then it says that his father rebuked him, but then he observed, watched. Is this really going to happen? It made the brothers mad. They were jealous because Joseph, what if I had dared say that to my father? If Reuben or Judah or Simeon or Levi or any of the other 11 brothers had said, Jacob would have been like, you're dreaming. And that dream ain't going to come to fruition. That's not going to happen. But with Joseph, there was something, oh hallelujah, there was something unique about Joseph that even though his father rebuked him and made his father step back and say, maybe I need to watch what this is going to do. Maybe I need to see. There's something unique about him. Yes, he is the daughter of my favorite wife. He is the son of my favorite wife. Maybe I need to watch him, but there's something, I need to pay attention to this. More importantly, he shared the dream that God had given him with people who could not handle it. If God gives you a dream, catch what I'm about to say. Be careful who you tell it to. What? You guys realize the thing about the Bible college? Me being pastor in this church, I have not said probably until about 2 years ago, and I've been pastoring here at that time for 4 years. I knew it the minute I walked in the door, Brother Mac. God had showed it to me then. But why? Because guess what? It's a whole different congregation now. The people that were here, other than a couple of Sister Alma, Brother Mac, couldn't handle that dream. Couldn't handle. Why? See, because people will steal your dream. How will they steal my dream? They'll steal it through discouragement. Well, you can't do that. That's stupid. Look at where we are. There's no way that could ever happen here. There's no way that could ever happen. Or they'll talk negatively about it. Well, they think they are just so special, that God has such a hand on his life, that they think they are just better than everybody else. But the reason is they think that way is because they don't have no faith.
That's right.
Or they'll do this. They do what God has encouraged you to do. God has laid the dream on your life, but they say, you know what, I'm going to do that instead. I'm going to do it before then. I've seen that happen. Where you share what God has shared with you, and then some other preacher go and do it when it was not part of what God had called them to do. They just don't get into the book enough to hear God tell them what they're supposed to do at their location. So they steal out other ideas. Why is it that we have mass duplication and fads in the church? Because preachers don't seek God, they seek other preachers for help.
Yes, amen.
I'll give you an example of this. Many of you know who Perry Stone is. If you know who Perry Stone is, lift your hand. What's the name of his TV program? Manifest. Years ago. How many of you have ever heard of T.D. Jakes' thing that he does in Atlanta every year called Megafest? It's phenomenal.
Yes.
But that Megafest was born out of different, what do you want to call it, conventions that T.D. Jakes did, different scenarios and auditoriums that he did. He did one that was called Woman Thou Art Loose. He did another one on for men. He did another one that was like for youth. And what God laid on his heart is, I want you to merge all those together. And he was trying to think of a name, and T.D. Jakes came up with the name Manifest. But he couldn't use it because it was trademarked by Perry Stone. So T.D. Jakes' ministry called Perry Stone and said, I will pay you such and such millions of dollars in order to get that name. And Perry said, I'm sorry, I cannot give you that name. When God called me as a minister, as a teenage boy, God told me that was going to be the name of my TV program, and I am not at liberty to give you something that God gave me.
Right, man.
Now, there's no hard feelings between the two of them. T.D. Jakes understood that. But my point is this right here. Had Perry not gone through the process of protecting his dream and trademarking Manifest, he would not have had it. T.D. Jakes would have had it. And we don't know. I'll be honest with you. If God gave that to him, I wonder if we would know who he is. Well, why? Because people will purposely try, not that T.D. Jakes will do it, but people will steal your dream in order to make their dream come true. Joseph had a dream. From that, look at verse 19 through 24. It says, and they said one to another, behold, the dreamer cometh. I told you already, that's not a compliment. Come now, therefore, let us slay him and cast him into the pit, and we will say, some evil beast has devoured him, and we will see what will become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, cast him into the pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that they might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him again to his father. And it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. Joseph was now in a position that made no sense according to his dreams. Do you realize the phrase when we say no sense is where we get nonsense? Where Joseph is at, he's looking at it and going, this is nonsense. This does not make sense. Why am I down in this pit where there's no water? God, you showed me twice. My brothers and my father. Catch this though. If you know the story of Joseph, the first dream happened when his brothers showed up in Egypt and they got him. Then they went back. And you go through the whole scenario. Guess what? They had to come back, but when they came back, they had to bring their father, who bowed out time. 2 dreams, 2 different scenarios, where each time they bowed. He had a dream. He's in a position now that he's looking at going, this makes no sense. He was the son of Jacob, the favorite. This didn't make it. I want you to stop here for just a minute and tell you, if somebody told you when you became a Christian that all your problems would be over, that you would never be hurt again, that you would never cry again, that you would never suffer again, they are a liar. It's not biblical. Psalms 34 verse 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all. Many are the afflictions. Life at times stinks. Now I'm back here. The pit is part of the process. See, the point I'm trying to make is that Christians have problems too. Christians get sick. Christians get in debt. Christians get divorced. Christians get their heart broken. Christians get in places that they shouldn't be. Sometimes you fall in the pit. Sometimes you jump in willingly. And then other times you're just pushed in. But you're in the pit. And no matter how you got to the pit is part of the process. Because the pit humbles you, because you realize the only way you're getting out of the pit is to go through a process of where God is going to strip you of that thing, that coat. He had a coat of many colors. His brothers took it off of him. He was identified with that. But do you realize that if he would have kept on the coat of many colors, he never would have been able to put on the Pharaoh's ring? My Lord God. See, in the pit is where your dreams die. In the pit is where ministries die. In the pit is where gifts, callings, marriages, all these things die in the pit. Life happens in the pits. But I'm telling you, if you can hold on to the dream that God gave you before you got in the pit, if you can hold on and be faithful in the midst of your pitiful experience, favor is on the way. See, I've been telling you that favor comes when somebody besides you starts working on your behalf. What you need to understand is that God was working on Joseph's behalf and nobody else. But if nobody else is working on my behalf but God, that is enough. See, there are some people who saw you in the pit. There are some people that even helped you when you might be in the pit right now. And they watched you struggling and pushing and scratching and clawing and trying to climb your way out. When they left you, you were still in the pit. That's Reuben. The last time they saw you, you were in the pit. You were a mess. But I've come here this morning to tell some of you that it's time for you to come up out of your pit. It's time. I'm preaching and I feel prophetically what I'm saying. I'm prophesying that some of you have got to tell yourself, I'm coming out of this. I don't know what the pit is for you to. It could be divorce, it could be finances, it could be frustration, it could be feeling overwhelmed. Whatever it is, you've got to say to yourself, Diana Ross in the Supreme to put it this way, I'm coming out. I'm not going to stay and I'm coming out. Why? I'm coming out of debt. I'm coming out of sickness. I'm coming out of a bondage. I'm coming out of addiction. I'm coming out of despair. I'm coming out of depression. I'm coming out of the pit of my marriage problems. I'm coming out of not having a job. I'm coming out of it. But you're looking at it going, but it's so deep. There's nothing down there to sustain God like you used to. I'm coming out. Sometimes feeling God isn't dependent upon God. It's you saying, I've had enough.
That's right.
Sometimes coming out, let me just tell you something. God is no respecter of persons. He loves me just as much as he loves Rick. He loves James just as much as he loves Rick. He loves Alma just as much as he loves TC. Put your name there. God is no respecter of persons. But God does respect faith.
That's right.
So when you say, I've had enough. I'm sick of being in the pitiful process of living in the pit. Sick of being in the pits. Man, I'm coming out of here. You need to understand something. You can't get out of the pit by yourself. But if you will say, I'm sick of being here, God, I'm trusting you, take me out of this pit. God will lift you up out of that pit. I'm sick of being in a spiritual pit. I don't know what the pit is. They come in all different shapes, all different sizes. But I want you to look at your neighbor. Catch this. Look at the person to your right or to your left and tell them, I spent my last night in the pit. Now don't say it and laugh. Not that you did. But I want you to look at them and say, I've spent my last night living my life like this. I'm not going to live in the pits no more. Not going to be in the pits no more, Brother Matt. I'm not going to be in the pit. Oh, the devil might try to throw you in another pit, but you need to understand something. Just because you came out of the pit doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get better instantly. You're just not going to die down there. That's next week. I'm coming out. Oh, how is that biblical? Psalm 30, verse 5. Weeping may endure for the night.
Amen.
Darkness in the pit. Nothing to sustain you in the pit. Weeping may, my Lord God, I feed you. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Night, dark, tough, surrounded. So dark you feel like you can't see your hand in front of your face because of the despair, because of the frustration, because of the loneliness, whatever it is that the emotion that you're feeling. But morning comes when God shines his light into the middle of your pit and you walk out for the last time. Weeping. I can't stay here anymore. Stand all over this place. How many of you would say and understand what I'm saying? I'm tired of living pitiful experiences. I'm frustrated with being in the pit. If you raised your hand and you said, I'm frustrated with it, I'm tired of it, without thinking, step out, come to this altar right now. Lift your hand and just begin to praise him.